Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome in once again. Today we're going to be taking a look at a really spectacular, very simple looking knife, but I think looks are going to be quite deceiving on this one. This is, and there's going to be a lot of names I'm going to throw out here because they seem to go under a lot of different names. The Declynx, Foreversteel, King Freeman X, Cybertrix knife that's actually made by Rike knife. So I know that's a lot coming at you all at once. Declynx and King Freeman X are the names on the Instagram account. Let me just go ahead and move this right here. I'm going to start putting up some info here. So if you want to reach out to the designer of this knife individually, that is going to be King Freeman X on Instagram. His brand name is Foreversteel, and there's also this other name, Declynx. I'm not sure which one is the most appropriate. I'm just going to put them all out there. And the knives are actually manufactured by Rike Knife. And I know it's a little bit confusing. I actually messaged him individually and asked. These are the exact same knives that he offers under his branding because they're all made by Rike Knife. The only difference is really going to be just the packaging. His packaging is that super cool solid block of aluminum that was milled out, filled with foam, and then screwed together with the knife inside. So you actually have to undo 4 bolts in order to open up the packaging. And with the Rike version, the Rike version that was offered at Blade Show anyway, you're just going to get a paper box and a zippered pouch. That's it. So, if you really want that really special, cool packaging, order directly from Declynx. If you don't care about packaging at all, just get the Rike knife. And oddly enough, they're all the same price, weirdly enough. So let's get this thing open. I want to show you guys. This is going to be the version A. There are 2 different blade shapes. Mine is the A. There's also a B, and what I'll do is I'll try to remember right over here to show you the difference between A and B for the blade shapes. Now, without any further ado, let's get this open and see what's inside. Now, obviously, you've already seen the photography I've done on this, so you already know what the knife looks like. It's not a big mystery. And this is the business card for Ian Wu, which I am going to assume is Richard Wu's brother or some relation. Richard Wu is the one that owns Rike Knife. So if you ever want to get in contact with them directly, here's all their information. And here is the very simplified packaging. Nothing special, nothing wrong with it, nothing bad, of course, just not particularly special. Inside, you'll get, for some reason, there's a code. Don't know what that's for. You get a Rike Knife sticker if you want to stick things, and you get the microfiber cloth. Over here, my God, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Okay, yeah, you know what? I do want to shout this out very, very quickly. This is actually pretty important. I was actually selling a knife, and I'm in a large group chat of knife fellows. And one of the gentlemen in there wanted to buy the knife I was selling. We ended up working out a trade because it turns out he was at Blade Show, and I missed Blade Show this year in 2022. His name is Mitchell Harper, and I said, hey, listen, there is a knife that I'm looking for, 2 knives I'm looking for from the Rike booth I'd like to get my hands on. One was this really cool Persian that they're doing that looks a lot like the Cybertrix. I'm like, if they don't have that, I'll take a Cybertrix if they have any left. So he was awesome enough to take time out of his Blade Show experience to go over to their table and pick up the knife for me, and we worked that out as part of our trade. So that's how I got a Blade Show delivery without going to Blade Show. And Mitchell does sharpening, so if you're looking for any sharpening, bada bing, here is his information. All right, without any further ado, we're going to get into the knife. Yay! Oh my God, look at that thing. How friggin' slick is this? There's no exposed hardware. How cool is that? Everything is completely hidden away. And the action is phenomenal. It's not free-falling, drop-free unless you hold the lock down all the way, but just releasing the lock, It's almost hydraulic, very similar to what you'd feel in a Rockstead. But I do believe that's going to break in a little bit more, and it might be a little bit more of a free fall very shortly. So I just kind of want to lay that out there and talk about the specs if we can. So we're actually going to do what we normally do, bring this over here and put the specs right here. You're looking at a titanium outer frame in what they call TC4 titanium. TC4 titanium is just another name for 6AL4V, which we're used to in all of our collectible pocket knives. But the inner frame is made of 440C hardened stainless steel. So you have this outer frame that's all pivotless, screwless, hardwareless, and that's put together like a jigsaw over an internal frame, which is put together with screws. The overall length is 7 3/4 inches. You've got a 3.5 inch M390 blade, and you have an Inset Tab Lock. So it's a very unique design. You've also got the thumb studs for the deployment as well. And as usual, I forgot to bring my scale over here. And this is going to be pretty important because this is a hefty knife for a small 3.5 inch blade. So it's important that we get this weighed so you get a chance to feel that, or to see that, I should say. 4.5 ounces. Honestly, it felt heavier than that. I'm surprised. I honestly thought that this was a heavier knife than that. I thought this was a lot closer to 6 ounces. So, that's a little bit strange. So here's the deal. Rike Knife, man, they've kind of taken over Blade Show. They went nuts. They're doing, obviously, the SOCOM Bravo for Microtech. They just released the new Annex, which was extremely popular. I do want to get my hands on one of those. And they've been chosen by a brand like that because they have this mastery of machining. Their machining work is pretty much second to none. You know, their alien knife is absolutely amazing. Lots of cool stuff. Plus, they're also the people that brought out to you the Booby and Booty knife. I haven't shown this on my channel yet. I probably should one of these days because it is actually pretty friggin' cool. But yeah, it has boobs and it has a butt and it's a dagger, and that is also made by Rike. Anyway, so what they've chosen to do here is perfect this incredibly simple looking yet complexly made, is complexly a word? I don't know. Complex made knife by King Freeman X. So you've got a funky, wild, and cool design. It's based on the Tesla Cybertruck, quite obviously. For those that didn't pick up on that somehow, I don't know what's wrong with you. I want to get that little mark off there so you guys see what looks like a brand new knife at all times. So it's based off the Tesla Cybertruck. There's no external exposed hardware. It's kind of put together like puzzle pieces for the takedown and disassembly. Now, it's not as highly engineered as the last knife I showed you guys, the Avian Knives Atlas. The way that this knife disassembles, this knife has no screws in it at all. And it disassembles by simply unlocking very particular things. And it all comes apart without tools. And that's not what this knife is. This knife does require tools, and it does have a good amount of screws inside. So while the idea may sound similar when you're first hearing them talk about them, it's not. It's not the same at all. It's pretty damn different. But it's still really, really, really cool. At least I like the look of it. I like that very clean, simplistic, yet futuristic look. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's definitely going to be people that are going to like it, people that are going to hate it. It's a lot like the Tesla Cybertruck in the fact that it's so angular that a lot of people are going to find it ugly. And some people are going to find it ugly at first and then become attracted to it. They're going to go, you know what? It grows on you. And honestly, the Cybertruck did grow on me as well. It's one of those things when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, that is absolutely hideous. It's stupid. It's too different. And then the more I saw it advertised, I'm like, you know what? I would drive the shit out of that. That is pretty cool. And that's kind of the way this knife is. There's no ergonomics to speak of. It's just a big, thick rectangle. But it doesn't actually feel bad because the bevels here, while they do give it a cool look, actually kind of feel kind of good in the hand. Again, it's not going to win any awards for ergonomics. You know, there's no palm swells, there's no finger choils or anything like that, but it's not a terribly uncomfortable knife either. I think that you'll do just fine for the times that you're going to carry it. As far as cutting goes, this thing is stupidly sharp. I mean, really, really, really thin edge, really stupidly sharp. Deployment is super easy, whether you want to thumb flick it or if you want to reverse finger flick it, because you have these interesting thumb studs on here. Now, they're not just regular thumb studs. You can open it like you would a regular thumb stud knife, but you can also kind of hit just from the back here and flip it open as well. So I found that to be pretty interesting. I like the look of that. Those are titanium, by the way. The finish, I'm going to tell you right now, is the only downer. While it looks really, really good, the biggest flaw is the finish, because this dark, bead blasted flat area is very, very delicate. This knife has had maybe a total of 1 hour of handling, and it's been in the pocket twice. And it's already got marks on it. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you're buying this as a novelty, as something cool to add to the collection, as a showpiece, absolutely, definitely get it. But I wouldn't buy it for an EDC knife if you're concerned about it always looking this good. Now, if you're the kind of person that just wants to carry their knife and you don't care if it gets banged up, then absolutely, by all means, go for it. You're going to love this knife to death. But if you really want it to stay looking new and pristine for as long as possible, it just doesn't have a finish that allows for that. But they needed to do this to give you the contrast so you could really see the bevels, especially from a distance. The blade grind is funky and weird. The blade shape, the blade profile, the grind, everything about it is weird, yet it cuts really, really well. It is, like I said, very stupidly sharp. I love all the angles and where the angles intersect. All these really crazy lines and bevels. It's a beautiful design. It really is. There is your Inset Tab Lock. The lock begins here and ends here. I don't know if we can really get a good look inside or not. Yeah, there you go. So it's actually screwed in. Looks like all the way back there. I'm having a hard time seeing through my viewfinder. Now they have the internal frame is somewhat skeletonized on that 440C internal frame. So they have done as much as they can to lighten it up. But you're still going to feel this. This is still a weighty knife in the pocket and in the hand. But it feels good. I like that substantial feeling, to be honest with you. Not everything needs to be lightweight and super easy to carry. Now, these versions do bear the Rike knife logo, where the ones that you got at least in the first drop directly from Declynx, did not have that marking on there. So the difference here, again, the packaging and the fact that it's going to have the Rike knife logo on this side, but it will still have the same markings on the other side. This is number 184. I don't know how many they're going to be making, but this is number 184, and it's Model A for the blade style. I do like the pocket clip, even though typically I don't like super long pocket clips. It seems to work really well. It's a little tight. It doesn't flex a hell of a lot. So it was a little bit of a challenge to get into my jeans pocket yesterday when it arrived. But it does go in and it does stay very, very securely. It's not going to be a practical knife. Don't consider it to be a practical knife. It's just not going to be. Now, this is the third Cybertruck inspired knife that I've personally seen. The very first one that was ever made, and in my opinion still pretty much the nicest, was made by Jeff Blauvelt, who you guys know as Tough Knives. Used to go by Tough Thumbs when he was doing his YouTube thing, but his professional name as a knife maker is Tough Knives. Yeah, we'll put the image right up here so you can see his knife. And still to this day, I think it's the most direct inspiration from the Cybertruck and the most high-end knife that I've seen. Obviously all done by hand. Everything's hand finished and just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And then those pieces of crap over at Kaiser knocked off his idea very, very, very quickly and made their god-awful rendition. It's a cheap knife. I mean, what do you expect? It's Kaiser. You know you'll never, ever, ever, ever see a Kaiser knife on my channel for any reason. Can't stand the company. Can't stand their business practices when they began. But yeah, they made a version 2, and now there's this in 2 flavors, 2 variations. And I think outside of Jeff's custom, which is tremendously more expensive, I think this is the nicest that you can get your hands on. It feels really, really well made. The action is fantastic. The feel of it in the hand is great. And again, I mean, you really can't beat the look. That very clean, sanitary look of no exposed pivot, no exposed body hardware. It's very, very slick. Now, I know people are going to want me to disassemble this knife. I do want to show you very quickly. This is not a knife that you're going to want to disassemble a lot. This back spacer here, I haven't taken this apart yet. I'm going to do it here in a few minutes for the first time. I believe the back spacer is some sort of plastic. I'll figure that out maybe when I get it apart. But like I said, this is not toolless. You have to take something to pry this open because it's tension set over something. You pry that open, it pops up, and then it unhooks from back here. And then you can swivel the frame apart and reach into the internals of the knife. So you need a tool to do that. Then you don't need tools to take the outer frame apart, but then you will need tools to disassemble the internals of the knife. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video right here. And I'm going to try to disassemble this knife on camera. If I fail repeatedly, I'm just not going to do it. So what you're going to see is me jumping from this to straight back to this. And I'm just going to have to make excuses for my ignorance. But I'm going to try to disassemble it here on camera to let you guys see, at least partially, what's going on with it. Okay, so the basic idea here is that you want to pry the back spacer up from the back. Now, you don't want to do it with anything that's going to mar the finish. So I've got a couple pieces of Kydex here to see if that's going to work for me. So you just simply pry up on it. Oh, that was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. And that's going to release the lock for the back spacer. Open the blade part way. And then what you do is you just lift it up and then unhook it out of the back. Wow, that's actually titanium. I thought it was plastic. Oh, okay, that is titanium. And then while you have that open, you just simply, I say simply, but it doesn't seem to be so simple, does it? What am I missing? This is kind of tough looking through my viewfinder. Do you have to squeeze it or something? Oh, there we go. So now you'll just swing this out. And then you can unscrew the outer panels, these outer panels, the titanium, from this inner frame made of steel. So you do need, there's a lot of hardware, holy shit. So you're going to unscrew all of these things, and that's going to take this panel off, and then that will allow you access to the pivot. Then you can unscrew the pivot and take the blade off, and then obviously the same goes through here. So that's the basic construction. I'm not going to take it down any further than this because I don't really see a benefit to it because I really don't think a lot of people are actually going to be doing that. So hey, there's some of the names. There's the Foreversteel branding designed by Declynx. That's where the Declynx comes from. And then also he goes by King Freeman X on Instagram. So then I'm going to assume that this just simply locks back together, I'm hoping easily. Come on. I'm just trying not to cut myself on the damn blade. And I'm doing this all while looking through a viewfinder. Ooh, that makes a horrendous sound when it goes back together. Okay, everything seems to be tight. Is the blade centered? Yep. Does it feel like it did before? Yep. Because you're not really messing with the integrity or the structure of the knife because that was all still screwed together. You're just taking apart the outer sections of it. And I think that's neat that you can just kind of swivel that open. That allows you access to all the screws. You take this front panel off to get to the pivot, undo the pivot, then you could take the blade out. So yeah, it is an interesting concept. Honestly, one I don't think people are going to use very often. As mentioned before, it's a lot easier with the Atlas, and I still don't see a lot of people taking the Atlas apart because you really generally don't need to take your knives apart very often. But yeah, that's the disassembly and reassembly. So there you go. Not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. This has really been a wild year for innovative and unique knife designs. From the Rike Exo, which really surprised everybody with its quality and how fidget friendly it is and how cool it is, to the Avian Knives Atlas, which I still think might be my absolute favorite knife of the year. If you haven't seen the video on this one, you absolutely, oh my God, you absolutely need to. This thing is an absolute work of art. To the Winter Blade Co. Factor, which I will be bringing out to you very shortly as well. Mine is on the way. I believe it's actually been shipped already. I'm beyond excited about that. I'll be making a video about that. And now the Cybertrix. So what we're seeing now is this really cool influx of knives that break the mold, that are just not standard made knives. They don't operate like every other knife out there. They don't look like every other knife out there. And they have something unique about each of them. You know, obviously the Winter Blade Co. knife, the Factor is the detent is magnetic, and the lock is magnetically held for the release. And it's got that really cool flipper built into the spine. That's a wickedly unique knife. The Atlas, with its toolless takedown and its incredible lightweightness, and just the way it was designed and built, that's extraordinarily unique. The Rike Exo, just the way that this was built. We haven't seen a gravity knife in any sort of popularity in a very long time. It's been decades since I had seen one. And then this thing has just taken the industry by storm. People have gone nuts for it. And now we have this. This doesn't look really much like anything else on the market. It definitely has a flavor of some GTC, some Gus Zucchini knives, for sure. But it's still its own creature. It's its own unique design. Do I like it? Yeah, I really do. It's having to grow on me. When I first opened the box, after seeing pictures of it and seeing some action videos on Instagram from the designer, I was like, man, that's super awesome. It's really amazing. Then I got it and went, I don't know if I feel as amazed by it as I wanted to. I think maybe my expectations might have been too high. I don't know. Excuse me. I'm getting the hiccups for some reason. But then I picked it back up today. I played with it for about an hour yesterday, did some photography with it as well, so probably another hour playing with it. And it didn't, I liked it. I liked it, but it didn't like sing to me. And then I started playing with it today. And I went, you know what? I really do like the design. I really do like the simplicity. Sure, I'd prefer if it was a flipper, definitely. But I certainly don't have anything against any thumb stud openers. I like thumb studs as well. I just have a preference for flippers. It's a personal thing. But I dig it. I think it's cool. It's fun. It's funky. As I mentioned, it's stupid sharp. You can see that edge on there. It's ridiculously sharp. I'm gonna have to carry it a few times to see if it's something that I'm going to enjoy having with me at all times. I'm going to have to see how the finish holds up, because all these satin areas, they should probably be okay. I don't think it's going to be too terribly bad. They do show fingerprinting a little bit, but I mean, that's not really a big deal for those of us that own custom knives. We have mirror finishes and high hand rub satins and everything else. The blade isn't going to show marks very easily. I'm happy with the finish on the blade for sure. The darker bead blasted areas, yeah, that's, I think, going to be the biggest problem. I think the fact that it's going to show marks, A, because it is bead blasted, and B, because it is dark, it's going to show scratches very, very quickly. This might look like a beat up piece of crap after carrying it for a few weeks. I don't know. We'll have to find out. The lockup is solid. The centering is dead on, so that's good. The action is great. The feel in the hand, well, like I said earlier, is not overly ergonomic. It doesn't feel bad. It's a nice knife overall. I still think, though, it's more of a novelty than anything else. But when you own a lot of knives, sometimes you will buy a knife just based on its novelty. Boobs and booty. It doesn't always need to be a practical knife for you to enjoy it, because you're not going to carry it every day. You have a lot of other knives. But this is definitely a knife that when you're showing it off to your buddies, they're going to go, holy shit, that's friggin' cool. And it feels like a custom knife. That's another big thing. When you're buying a production knife for $400, you're looking at it going, man, it's $400. It's a lot of money. It really needs to exude a particular level of quality. And I'm here to tell you, it feels like you're holding a custom knife. It doesn't feel like a production knife. It doesn't present itself like a production knife. I'd love it if the Rike logo had just been done somewhere in the back spacer, maybe up here or something. I think that would have been a better choice. It would have looked a little bit less like a production knife. But still, man, this thing is friggin' wicked. Is this going to be a permanent keeper in my collection? I don't know. I truly don't know at this point. I think there may be a bit of a honeymoon phase where I just enjoy flicking it and playing with it and looking at it and handling it. But when it gets down to the times when I start carrying it several days in a row, I'm going to discover then if it's going to be a keeper or not. And I'll try to keep you guys apprised on that situation. But for right now, I think it's cool. I think it's worth every bit of the $400. I think that if you're looking for something wildly unique in your collection, you need to get one. I think if you've pre-ordered a Tesla Cybertruck, and if it ever finally friggin' gets made and you guys get your trucks, I think you're pretty much gonna have to own one of these. But I wouldn't wait till you get your Cybertruck, because these are apparently limited run, being numbered. I don't know how long they're gonna make them. So I would say probably buy it now, and hope to God your Cybertruck someday ever gets made. I don't know if have they started the production on them here in Texas yet or not. I don't know. Anyway, them's my thoughts on the knife. I think it's super wicked, super badass. I like the clean, sanitary look to it. I love the futuristic lines of it. I'm a big sci-fi guy, so I dig shit like this. I think it's super cool. Practical? No. But usable. It has utility to that blade. That's for damn sure. So you're not going to sacrifice by getting something that is this trendy or this gimmicky, if you want to take it that far. I don't really think it's gimmicky, but you may see it that way. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I'm going to take off for now. I'm hoping that the next video I can bring out to you is the Winter Blade Co. Factor, but it hasn't arrived yet. But I did borrow a very gorgeous full dress Liang Ma knife from a friend of mine. I'll be doing a video on that very, very shortly. So I will see you guys very shortly on a new video. I'm going to try to put out a couple more this month. And by the way, for those of you that support me on Patreon, thank you so very much. And I'm going to be doing a 2-knife giveaway on my next Patreon giveaway. Let's see, today is, I can't even focus, and I haven't looked at my viewfinder. Today is Friday the 10th. By the end of the month, I will do that Patreon giveaway with both knives in it. One that I have reviewed, one that you have not seen on my channel yet, And I'm pretty excited about both of them. I think you're going to dig them. So if you're not already a patron, please do consider subscribing for as little as $5 a month. You're helping to support the channel. It allows me to bring more knives out here, bring out more content, and you get to win cool free stuff. All right, guys, I'm out of here, and I'll see you on the next video.